Hello and welcome to the Critical Cinema Club. I'm Sean,
I'm Colm.
and today we are very excited to talk about the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer that just dropped yesterday, or technically 2 days ago. I don't even know anymore because
Depends on your time difference.
Yeah, but we had some plans as to what we were going to do today. We immediately dropped those plans, and it was all about having a quick discussion about this trailer. So what we're going to be talking about are some Easter eggs we noticed. There are going to probably be some spoilerish discussions, and I think they've been very difficult to get away from them anyway because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And then probably just our thoughts and feelings of the trailer as we go on. So first of all, before we get into the nitty gritty, what was your overall impression of the trailer?
Do you know what? I've been a little bit kind of. I'm not bothered about MCU anymore. I think the quantity over quality has been kind of a thing at the moment.
And I think they've acknowledged that themselves now, haven't they? Because I think they've said that they're going to streamline it now, which
they need to
late,
do.
Who knows?
I think it could be a little too late, but never say never. Stranger things have happened. But when I saw the trailer itself, the TVA stuff in it, I know we'll go into it a little bit more detail. I kind of thought, oh no, do you have to have watched Loki to watch this? But as the trailer went on, there were bits in it, and I just thought, could be fun, could be interesting. But
I think it's interesting you say that, isn't it? Because Joe Russo, I think he said on Twitter, do I have to have watched Loki season 2 to understand what's going on? I don't know what the answer was, but I'm sorry to jump in, but I just thought I'd mention I saw that.
No, I mean, it's interesting, but I would like to just start this stream with, firstly, I'm not a big fan of Ryan Reynolds. I find him a bit irritating. Secondly, Ryan Reynolds is the co-chairman, co-owner of Wrexham Football Club. And I'm a big Bradford City supporter, and we beat them 1-0 on Saturday. So get in, have that, Ryan Reynolds. 1-0 to the mighty Bradford.
So, yeah, if you're watching, Ryan, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Bradford are actually playing now at home to MK Dons. So I'm not even watching that. I'm doing this stream instead. So,
yeah, here we are.
More important stuff.
Yeah, well, same for Sheffield Wednesday, my team. We kicked off, and I think within a minute or two, we conceded a goal. So, standard form.
Brilliant.
So we'll get into the nitty gritty now. We talked about quickly giving a shout out to a couple of people before we started up, because some things I noticed by myself, some things I've gotten from a video, new rock stars. I don't think they need a shout out from us. I think they get like 1 million views a video, but I think credit where credit's due. And I think you watched a different video, didn't you? With some
a YouTube channel called Heavy Spoilers. I watched his video, and it was I kind of like watching stuff like that as well. So it'd be interesting to see if you've picked up on things that, if they've picked up on things that the channel I watch have picked up on as well. So.
Yeah, because this is the first time we've actually compared notes, and it's right here on the channel. So yeah, it'd be very interesting, because the guy I watch, New Rockstars, he does like a scene, like almost like a frame by frame breakdown, and he'll pick out stuff I would never notice, and he talks about things I've never heard of. So he's a good channel to watch. So
hello, Nate, by the way, thanks for watching.
Cheers, Nate. Thanks for your support. So we start up with it looks like a birthday party for Wade, and he's got some of his familiar friends and people he knows that are from the previous movies are there with him, with a glaring exception of TJ Miller, who obviously he's been cancelled, but obviously that's a glaring omission because he's been a staple of the previous Deadpool movies. So I was interested to see whether, I mean, I guess it's Disney, I suppose, the mouse, has he had an involvement, or did they say themselves we don't want him back? Who knows? I don't know exactly what he did. Was there some messing about with some women or something like that?
I'm not sure. I haven't really delved into the story. He's not really a fit for Disney. I mean, I don't want to go down that kind of debate over the Disney woke Hollywood stuff. That there's other channels out there like the Critical Drinker and Nerderotic that discuss about stuff like that. And I can't say I disagree with it, but at the same time, I think they're probably better placed to discuss that. And I'd rather us just discuss the film without having to, pick those kind of things apart. But I would be surprised if he showed up in the film because of his recent past stuff that's come out.
And I'm not too upset because I find him really annoying anyway.
Yeah, he's a little bit trying too hard. But did you notice that Wade Wilson's wearing a wig, and his wig looks just like my hair as I've got it now?
Yeah, it's yours. I think he had it was stapled to his head. Is that how you've done yours?
No, mine's natural, but it looks like a wig.
Yeah. So I noticed just straight away from the first time I watched the trailer, it's almost a bit somber in a way. He looks sad. There's feels like there's something happened.
Yeah, there's a shot there of him doing a menial job. He's got a name tag, and he's staring at his Deadpool costume. As almost, I think that's kind of put in there as a bit of a cheese factor that he wishes he could go back to his superhero stuff how he was, and I think they're gonna kind of playing that as a bit of a tongue in cheek. Because that's what Disney Marvel films have been a bit like that. So I think that's kind of a joke.
I think, and I'm going to mix a theory that the new Rockstars guy came up with, a little spin, which I know you will appreciate. So this guy I watched, he wondered if perhaps, at the end of Deadpool 2, and he goes back in time and he rights some wrongs and he brings Vanessa back to life. He wonders if perhaps those changes didn't go as he'd hoped. And things have played out in a way that he hadn't anticipated. And it reminded me of that episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, which we always bring up.
Star Trek! Star Trek! Do you think I like Star Trek?
The episode where Captain Picard goes back in time to right the wrongs in his life, but actually...
Tapestry.
Yes, that's the one. And when he comes back to the present, everything's changed in his mind for the worse. He's no longer a captain. He's just got some low-level job. And it seems that... Yeah, and you wonder if something similar has happened to Deadpool. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, and we obviously saw a couple of characters that were passed away in the last movies. Peter,
yeah, he got didn't he get like chopped up in a chopper thingy? What you got like back of a
like a chipper.
A chipper, that's the word I was searching for.
Chopper. A chopper chipper.
Is that
like a chipper that can fly?
Yeah, a chopper.
And Shatterstar, who was killed off. I love that in the last film that they've got that sort of team, and they just all immediately got killed off.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean,
again, that's just your tongue-in-cheek kind of piss take against the MCU's like Avengers team and stuff. Because without jumping too far ahead, and I think we'll probably discuss this a bit later on, Deadpool works better as a single character doing his own thing. And I think that in Deadpool 2 was kind of like a joke, like X-Force and all of that. So
I loved it. I mean, I thought Deadpool 2 was a much better film than Deadpool 1.
We saw both of them in cinema together, didn't we?
Yeah, and I'm convinced it's the better film.
Yeah.
I love it because I love X-Men as well. It had a few more callbacks and I just loved it. So I'm really excited.
I'm a Deadpool 1 fan, if I have to say.
It was a good film. It was, it was against the grain and it was different and it shook things up. And I sort of hoped something like this would come. I didn't think to this extent, but I did hope things would shake up. And it's very exciting to see where it goes. So the sort of birthday scene ends with him making a wish. We don't know what that wish is, but immediately there's a knock on the door and it's the Minutemen from the TVA. So to folks who've not watched Loki, they might be really confused. Did you watch the second series of Loki, didn't you?
I didn't finish it. I got about 3 episodes, maybe 4 episodes in. I didn't last couple of episodes. I just gave up with it.
I mean, it helps if you've watched it, but I'm one of them dumb people, right? I watched it and I'm still not 100% on what's happened. So the TVA are the authority that sit outside of time and reality, I think, and they go around pruning timelines that stray too far from the what do they call it? The prime timeline or something like that.
Yeah.
There's the one timeline that's the sacred timeline. That's it. And they go around pruning all these characters. So it's Deadpool is obviously someone on their radar for whatever reason, and very quickly in that scene we get a pegging joke, which because I think the lead up to the trailer, everyone wondered, would it be Deadpool as we know him, or will he have been Disneyfied, and very pleasant surprise. I don't know what you think.
He's not been Disneyfied as such. I think he's kind of playing on it. It's pushing the boundary. Now, what I was going to say, possibly a bit later on, but I'll say it now, is that Ryan Reynolds has been stung with Deadpool before, obviously with X-Men Origins Wolverine. I can't believe he'd do this film and allow the character to be portrayed poorly in a film which is just going to completely water him down to an MCU audience.
I think it's all or nothing.
Yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds has so much respect for the character. I mean, Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds' perfect character. I don't think there's anybody else can play Deadpool the way he does, and I don't think Deadpool is a character that can, Ryan Reynolds is an actor that couldn't portray anything else but Deadpool the way that he does. So I would be really surprised if Ryan Reynolds, who's got, he's a big star, isn't he? He's got a lot of gravitas, if you will. He could throw his weight around a bit more and demand, well, this is how we want this film to go. I forget the name of the director. Is it Sean Levy who did?
Yes, yeah.
Did he do the previous one?
He did. They mentioned. I'm not sure if he did I know he did Free Guy, so they have worked together.
Yeah, I think he probably. Let me just check this, because with research isn't our strongest thing with this channel. So it probably would make sense for us to no, it was David Leitch. I think the director of the first one was Tim Miller. So yeah, he directed Free Guy, as you said. So
yeah. So yeah, very good to see that pegging joke, and I know you'll be a fan of that, because it's getting some good representation there, isn't it?
I did that. There was one. You're probably going to come to this again in a second, so I'm not going to say too much here. But there was one line in that trailer that absolutely cracked me up. So,
well, you save that. But of course, the big one. So answer two questions in one, because he makes this R-rated joke, or if that's what it is. But then he looks at the camera, breaks the fourth wall, and we all wondered if he would. So. Because I know you didn't watch this, but She-Hulk was doing that as well.
Yeah, she did that in the comics, though.
Yes.
And this is where the heavy spoilers. I think Critical Drinker also said it on his quick video that came out yesterday. Is that the story of the TVA is? I think She-Hulk did this in the comics, and they're kind of throwing Deadpool into this in the movies. I might be wrong on that. Please correct me if I am wrong. But it's funny that She-Hulk has been absolutely panned for various reasons. Obviously won't go there. It just wasn't a very good show by all accounts. I watched the first episode and I was out. But nah, I can't. I just didn't want to see what they did with Daredevil, seeing as how good Daredevil was on the Netflix series. And
they hulked
Punisher.
up. They hooked up,
They hulked up.
Oh, she did. It was like, there were parts of it I thought were good. Some of it was all right. On the whole, forgettable for the most part.
I think you're more forgiving than I am when it comes to stuff like that. I think you kind of see what's in front of you, whereas I look for other things that typically annoy me, and I allow them to annoy me. And I think you're a lot more laid back than I am.
I have generally got more patience, I think.
You have.
Some of that will come back. The meta side of things will come up again in this conversation, because I know I keep harking on about these other YouTubers, but they definitely deserve the credit. So this guy came up with a really good theory, and I'm down with it. I think he's right, but I'll come to that at the end. So stick around for that. Right. So I don't know if it was just me, right, but in that scene with the Minutemen, it almost looked like he was being pulled away from one of them. So I don't know if you saw it, where he goes to grab him and the sort of door opened up behind him.
Yeah, and he kind of gets pulled through.
He gets pulled back and the guy grabs his hair. So that made me wonder, are there multiple factions of Minutemen, or is it just a way of grabbing him? I don't know. It just struck me as odd. That did. But that's it. Yeah. But that was a really good start to the trailer, because straight away, he's been pulled out of his world, hasn't he? And he's straight into the mix, into the adventure. And
then you got Matthew McFadyen. I forget how to pronounce his name. He's in Succession. He's brilliant in Succession. And I forget the name of the character he's playing. Is it Paradox? Or...
Yes. He's going to play a character called Paradox. I'm going to say a character I'm not familiar with because I haven't read any TVA stuff in the comics. But there is stuff out there if you want to look. You know, you can see what happens to his character and what he's about, and you wouldn't imagine you stray too far from that. But yeah, he looks a good actor. I haven't seen Succession. I keep meaning to.
It's brilliant. Honestly, I mean, Tom from Succession, who Matthew McFadden plays, he's a great character. He's really like wimpy, and I think there might be a few people out there are surprised that he's English. He's from Norfolk, and he's very English in that trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, I love it when actors turn like. I remember people being shocked that Christian Bale wasn't American.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And Tom Holland.
Yeah. So the TVA, something's changed. Something's different. It's not the TVA I recognise from the Loki show. They always seem a bit more militaristic. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't see the end of Loki, so I'm not sure if something happened at the end of Loki that kind of spelled out why the TVA seems different. Like, where's Morpheus kind of thing? Morbius.
Now there's a crossover.
We'll get to... we have to have a quick chat about Madam Web later on, so we'll get to all of that later on. So stick around. Back to the Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions.
But a cynical thought that with it being the TVA, you don't actually know when in time, because in our minds it's
timeless.
It's time. Well, because this movie is being shown to us after Loki, you imagine the events to take place after the Loki series, but it's not like that in Loki. It's all over the place, so it could be what kicks off the Loki series for all we know. I do hope Loki shows up. It sounds like everybody's going to show up, but that's...
Yeah, I mean, you can, when he stood in the room with the monitors, and there's the Hulk and there's Captain America and Iron Man are all on those monitors, and you see the back of Wade just kind of saluting, don't you? And I'm looking at him, what's he doing?
Yeah, but I thought it was really interesting that, and again, I'll come back to this later, but the images you see on those screens are from the films.
Movies, yeah.
And we talk about this a lot on the channel, where you see it in Star Trek movies and things all the time, where they'll show you events on a screen. That's a recording to the characters, like in the court. Do you remember? Was it
Star Trek 3? Yes. Well, yeah, they did it in Star Trek 4 at the start when they're seeing the explosion of the Enterprise, and in Star Trek 3 when Spock gives McCoy the mind meld, it's the same footage from the film. It's like those cameras in engineering are brilliant.
Yeah, but it sort of insults your intelligence as a viewer, because we know that is from the film. So the characters watching that, it's just lazy. So I'm sure I don't have to spell it out, but you shouldn't, as a character in a show or movie, be able to see the movie. It's crazy. But they're doing it, I think, on purpose this time. There's some meta stuff going on.
Yeah,
I think. But how exciting is it to see Deadpool there, and you're seeing images of the Hulk and Iron Man and things? It's very exciting.
I'm more excited about seeing Deadpool with Wolverine, though. And we'll get to that.
Yeah, and very cleverly, they didn't actually show us anything, did they? But there's just enough.
Yeah. Are we allowed to talk about Wolverine now, or do you want to come to that in a bit?
Come to it in a bit. Let's take it one at a time.
No, I'm too excited.
No, it's the build-up. It's the build-up. Did you see when he opened the locker to get his uniform out and there was the two stickers? Was that a shout out to Notts County on there?
I don't know.
Did you know the magpie on the football?
Yeah, it might be because of the back and forward. Yeah, they had, especially last season in the conference. I didn't notice that myself, to be honest. So that you're very eagle-eyed there to have noticed that.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to take full credit because I like to go on Reddit and things. People pointing things out there left, right, and centre. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, that's got to be a football reference, surely.
I'm going to try and find that in the trailer whilst we're talking here.
Yeah, you do it.
That's an interesting one.
But there is a very subtle Wrexham reference in there as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, the TV screen, you know, when he walks in, you see all the screens, a bit like in Matrix Reloaded, all them TV screens. One of them, I didn't see it, but there's like an acceptance speech where he's got the Deadpool mask on, he's holding this trophy, and I think that was part of the, is it This Is Wrexham documentary, whatever it's called it.
Again, I only watched the first series of that because it just, supporting a football club from the same league, it kind of annoys me seeing all that.
But the long and short of it is it's a very subtle Wrexham shout out if you want to see it.
Oh, that's you're right. You're right. I'm just looking at the trailer now. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't because my
no.
But yeah, there's a magpie, what looks like a magpie over a football. So what a weird thing to have put in just because they've got a rivalry with Notts County that doesn't really exist this season.
No, if that's what it is, but I can't see what else it would be.
No, it's a good spot. Whoever spotted that, then fair enough.
Yeah, it's a good one. So we move on from the sort of TVA, and then you're getting into the actual. So you get this a lot in trailers, don't you? Like the first couple of bits of scenes, and you get a bit of dialogue, but then you get into the choppy, and we're into the choppy bit now, where you see lots of different images very quickly. We see a caravan of vehicles in the desert. I don't know if the guy you watched pointed out what these were, but this new Rockstars guy, he was able to identify what some of them vehicles were, and they may or may not be spoilers.
Oh, sorry, there was one. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so if you want to go into the film clean, good luck to you, because you're going to see everything everywhere. But I'm just going to discuss some things now, and it may or may not mean that these characters show up. Who knows? So the first car that was pointed out was Red Skull's. I can't remember what car that was, but it's that long one.
The ridiculous car. Yeah, it's a little bit like the Batmobile that George Clooney drives. That was the one.
I can't see Red Skull joining Deadpool on an adventure, but who knows? Anything's possible in these films.
He's at Boromir. What's it called?
Faramir.
Faramir. Whatever that planet's called. I keep calling it Boromir.
What planet?
Is it? I don't know what the planet's called, but it sounds like Boromir. Boromir from. So that's made you cough. That
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you know the planet that Red Skull's on, where they have to get the soul crystal?
Vormir.
Vormir, that's it. Yeah. Boromir.
Boromir. One does not simply sacrifice your friend. So one of the other vehicles is this was a great spot, by the way, bloody hell. And I can't even remember it being in there, but in Moon Knight there was a cupcake sort of truck, and that's part of the convoy.
Again, I hadn't really watched a lot of Moon Knight. 2 episodes in, I was out.
Yeah. And this isn't to say these characters are going to show up, but one of the vehicles has a big 4 on the front.
Oh, so it's a Fantastic Four's van or whatever it was.
Looks to be. I mean, that makes me think those characters probably aren't going to be involved, because surely the Fantastic Four will get a much bigger sort of introduction than that. But who knows? Who knows? They might come down the line. I think this was one of those instances where they show just 1 or 2 cameos to whet your appetite. I think there's going to be. Is hundreds too many? I don't know. I think there's going to be so many cameos and characters show up.
How many versions of Deadpool do you think they're going to be?
Right. So spoilers. Again, I've seen pictures, and I think there's at least 3 or 4. Have you seen the pictures? There's a picture of him with a normal face and long hair.
Yeah.
There's a dog pool. I've seen.
Dogpool, yeah, I saw that one. Are they the variants of Deadpool? They're all played by Ryan Reynolds, because I'll be surprised if they're not.
I don't think the dog will be, because I think it's a dog. But
yeah, good point.
Yeah, who knows? Because you've got Lady Deadpool as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you've got all sorts of things. So that was a very quick sort of sequence, but it just opens up the possibilities. If the cupcake truck from Moon Knight's in there, what else are we going to see? I saw a set photo that looked like it was from that convoy, and it looked a little bit like the Winter Soldier.
That wouldn't
Was
be
there.
surprising to me, because they're all still really like involved with the MCU stuff, like Winter Soldier and what's the one with the wings who took Captain America's shield?
Falcon.
Falcon, that's him.
Yeah,
because they've got another series coming out, haven't they?
Oh, have they?
Yeah. And Agatha Christie, whatever her name is, she's got another one coming, a series coming out soon. So can't wait for that.
Agatha Harkness.
That's the one.
Agatha Christie, the famous author.
Yeah.
So we move on, and
please do.
I'm gonna have to. You see the back of a bold figure, and you see the ears, and it's very reminiscent of Charles Xavier.
I was just going to mention this because this is another thing that came on the heavy spoilers video. But you go first, and I'll notes.
I'll be interested to see if they've come, because I had seen this theory in a few different places, and I saw it again in this video I watched, and I'm taking it as a given now, and I'm led to believe that character is going to be Cassandra Nova, who is Charles Xavier's twin sister. So I'm not really familiar with the character. I read up on her before I came on here. So they were obviously twin babies in the womb, and Charles, as a baby, somehow sensed she would be evil and killed her. I mean, Charles always making all these really horrible choices. He's not a good dude, really.
No, he's not.
He's not. But I think she somehow survived as a few cells and grew on a sewer wall, and then willed herself into life, and now I guess she's one of the more powerful characters in Marvel. And I think
it says on IMDb that it is.
Right.
Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin, who was Princess Diana in The Crown.
Yeah, so very interesting. So that's obviously going to be the flip side of the coin to Xavier. So I'm very interested to see how that progresses, because she's obviously going to be a very serious character and pull some weight into the movie. So it's not all going to be fun and games. It's going to be some dark shit go down, I think, because apparently she's fucking like a horrible character. Like,
so it means you kind of have to have Xavier in there then.
You'd imagine.
Because Patrick Stewart was asked about it and he didn't deny it, but I think he was asked if he was going to come into Secret Wars, and he was a bit like, well, you're just going to have to wait and see, aren't you? So, I mean, how many times has he died in the X-Men films?
Let's have a few more.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But we'll come back to that. I'll hold that thought. So there's more to say on that. Right. So as the scenes progress, I've seen some different ideas on what this is, but Deadpool, he looks like he's in the bed and he's got some teeth around him. One theory I've seen that I really like is that looks a bit like the Hulk's bed in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I that was on the heavy spoilers video.
So, I mean, that just leads you to believe he's hopping around all over the place, because you see him in the snowy woods. I can only think that's the woods from his Ultron movie.
Yeah. I mean, it could be any woods with snow, but possibly, yeah.
But it looks very much like, because I think that was a snowy wood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In Age of Ultron. So, and I think on the TV screen earlier on in the TV, there were scenes from Age of Ultron.
Yes, you're right. I think there were.
Yeah. So, that's very interesting. It just opens the door to many possibilities. So he seems to be hopping around either the events or the movies. If you follow what I'm saying, depends on whether you subscribe to this theory, which is with Deadpool being a sort of meta type character. You're gonna have to bear with me on this one, because when this guy was saying it, I wasn't having it until the end. So the theory goes that he has been recruited because he's one of these meta characters who knows he's in a cinematic universe, a bit like She-Hulk. And the theory put forward is he's been sent to fix all the plot holes and all the movies across Fox and Marvel. And I was just like, that's rubbish. But when you take into account that you've got this massive Fox logo that they're
smashed up all over the sand. Yeah.
Why would that be there unless you were sort of attacking the cinema part of the sort of franchise, if you will.
Mm.
So I'm thinking there's something to that. I don't know if that's exactly what it's going to be, but that would make a lot of sense. So I don't know what do you think about that theory?
I mean, anything's possible, and I think some of the videos I've watched, there's Dave Cullen's show, Critical Drinker, and Heavy Spoilers have all kind of said the same thing, that Deadpool's kind of being used to finish up the Fox Universe X-Men, and by doing that, doing it in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, where we're going to kill all that off now, because we've already had Beast appear at the end of Captain Marvel films, whatever it's called.
And you know what? The CGI was shocking. That was so bad.
You went to cinema to see that, didn't you?
I did, because
you poor person. You poor man.
I have to say, I've got a daughter who loves Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
so I had to go. But yeah, I was excited to see Beast. And why couldn't they get Kelsey Grammer in makeup again? It looks shit. You know, it was really bad CGI. It was really terrible. But they've just pulled on that thread. So I don't know how that fits in with the Deadpool stuff. We'll have to see.
Well, I think the X-Men have been teased so much for a long, long time. Ever since they acquired Fox, people have been really, really like clamoring for the X-Men to come into the MCU. Me, not so much, because for me, Logan was the perfect ending to the Wolverine character for a start. But the other films that came out towards the end, as we've discussed in our very first ever video, the Dark Phoenix was one we very quickly mentioned, is a big pile of crap. But Apocalypse is one of those films that just, especially yourself, it's a deep cut, just because of, and that those films, those films then are pretty much where the MCU is now.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is, and I think there's a lot of people out there who enjoy the MCU films what they are now, and not many, because the box office numbers will suggest that isn't the case. I know there's a lot of people on Twitter or X, what have you, who will defend Marvels and She-Hulk and all that until the day is over, which is fine, but box office numbers don't lie. And you could argue that, people don't want to go to cinema now because, post-COVID and everything. I think that's just a cop-out. People aren't going to watch these films because they're just simply bored of it. They're not giving you anything new. Marvel's was generic. I only watched the first 25 minutes, half an hour of it on Disney Plus the other day, and I was just like, nah.
Well, it just feels like there's no plan anymore, because there's Shang-Chi, which I thought was a good film. I enjoyed it. But where is it?
Elements of it were really good. I just I found it to be a little bit too long and convoluted, and it just didn't seem to go anywhere. Didn't set anything up. And then the Eternals just felt like it went on for eternity. Whatever happened to that big giant thingy? It's just there chilling.
Yeah, he's knocking about, mate. He's still there.
Do you reckon Deadpool's going to address that?
I hope so, because it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It never gets mentioned in anything else.
By far the worst phase.
By
far.
Absolutely.
But what before we move on, have you ever heard? Days of Future Past. How that film ends up, and then you've got Logan.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. I've seen suggestion out there that they're not the same Wolverine. That they're sort of that's like a standalone Logan story. What do you think about that? Because I think he might be from a different universe.
A little bit like Joker was a bit of a standalone thing, and possibly. I don't know, because he does mention the events of the first X-Men film. How many years have passed since the Statue of Liberty? So that ties into Logan. Days of Futures Past also does. And I might be wrong on that. It might be that Days of Future Past is the one from an alternate universe completely.
Maybe after
Logan's
X-Men. Yeah, after X-Men 1, it might have gone to the... Because I liked the ending to Days of Future. I'd like to think that those characters lived happily ever after, and then Logan is perhaps from a different... Maybe I'm grasping. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Well, I think Days of Future Past was the best X-Men since, other than Logan. I don't class it as an X-Men film. It's a Wolverine film. I know you've got other mutants in it, but it's character based. It's very character based. The overall story that happens in that film is secondary behind the character development. Logan's getting older, and
Yeah, it's a great character
Xavier's.
study.
It's brilliant. From a character perspective, it's probably one of the best out of all of the X-Men films. But I don't class it as an X-Men film. It's too small. It's too small a story. It's very self-contained. So Days of Future Past is the best, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people out there for X-Men 2, X-Men United, which is a great film. Not the Manchester United X-Men trailer,
Charles.
which we discussed.
Hello, Charles.
Charles. That was my Wayne Rooney impression, by the way.
Is it David De Gea?
Looks more like the Hulk.
God. But it's good that we talk about Wolverine, because that segues us brilliantly back to the next part of the trailer, which is where Deadpool's in either a bar or a casino set up, and you walk up and you see, which is very clearly Wolverine in his patch disguise.
The white suit.
Disguise?
Yeah.
It's got to be. I mean, the hair and everything. It's a great shout out to that sort of version of the character. And then straight away, people were asking about Joe Fixit, which was Hulk.
Yes,
when he wore a suit and they were sort of together undercover. Who knows?
I'm going to call it now. That's not Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
I think, and I'm stretching here, Daniel Radcliffe. Just throwing it out there.
Right. Thanks everyone for joining us. It's been another great podcast.
Have I spoiled the end? Have I spoiled the end of it? I mean,
Daniel Radcliffe, give over.
He's
I'm angry about this.
Harry Potter. He's been rumored to be taking on the role of Wolverine. He's been one of the actors rumored for it. If I'm wrong, fair enough, but I'm calling it.
Oh my God.
I want to go see Deadpool in the cinema with you, and it'd be Daniel Radcliffe with a little scar on the glasses, pops up with Wolverine. Instead of claws, he's just got like wands coming out his hands, and just seeing the look on your face when it's him, you'll be like, "Nah, I'm not having this." Popcorn goes, and you're straight off out the door.
Do you know how much shit you're going to get when it's not Daniel Radcliffe? And like every time we talk about it, I'm going to say, "Do you remember the time you thought Harry Potter was Wolverine?"
Well, the only reason I said that because it came up on another video that I was watching. This is that they were listing out different, because the build is it's kind of skinnier. It's smaller than Hugh Jackman, and one of the people that was mentioned was Daniel Radcliffe. I can't remember who the other guy they mentioned. Somebody I'm not very familiar with, but I just thought that was interesting.
Oh, there'd be riots. Come on. Oh, I was going to do an impression.
Okay, there.
And I just can't bring myself to do it. What's one of the spells he throws?
Expelliarmus. Expelliarmus, Bob.
Expelliarmus, Charles.
I love it if I'm right, though.
No,
I mean, that's my theory. I'm stealing somebody else's theory.
Well, that someone needs to have a word with themselves, because I'm. Oh, come on. I mean, Daniel, come on. Come on.
Tom Hardy? He'd make a good Wolverine because he's the right height.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Anybody but Daniel Radcliffe?
I mean, I'm literally struggling to think of a worse person. I'm trying to think of someone worse, and I can't. Can you?
No.
I'm shocked, mate. I'm shook by this horrific suggestion you've put out there.
Oh, well, okay.
I mean, those people might come up. But that might be a popular thing that I've never heard of.
I mean, Harry Potter is very popular. Caveat this by saying I hate Harry Potter films.
Oh, I'm not a fan. No, I have watched them, but
I
sort of have seen them, and I felt that's it, and I don't need to go back. I don't. I guess people don't understand why I love Transformers or Star Trek, but I just don't see what the attraction to Harry Potter is.
My younger brother and his wife are big Harry Potter fans. My older brother's wife, she's a big Harry Potter fan. Kieran, if you're watching, are you a Harry Potter fan?
The Harry Potter one.
Yeah, my younger brother Liam has got the longest point in the world. He's like a Harry Potter wand, a bit like E.T.
It does it like a hook, doesn't it? Now listen.
So I'm just googling Daniel Radcliffe Wolverine and see what this conjures up. Just
well, get ready for your phone to explode.
So yeah, there's a lot of stories here saying Wolverine patch variant. Does Daniel Radcliffe play him in Deadpool 3? Rumor: Daniel Radcliffe appears as Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right.
And the next one just says, "Is Harry Potter playing Wolverine?"
Right. This is where I need to know. Do they mean seriously as Wolverine or as a joke?
I honestly don't know. Do you know
if it's a joke, I could get it, but not as a serious. Like I've got to say, it's serious that this is Wolverine. Surely not. But as
who else could you think as a replacement for Hugh Jackman? Who else do you think could for me, nobody can play Wolverine better than Hugh Jackman. It's like recasting Captain Kirk.
What's that kid from Kingsman? I've seen his name.
Him who played Elton John.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's a worse choice than Daniel Radcliffe.
What do you mean?
What's his name? Is it Edgerton?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think Jason Statham would make a better Wolverine than him.
Surely not. I mean, you'd be a better Wolverine than Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah. I'm the right height for a start.
Yeah, you are. As a joke, I could see it, but not seriously. No. Tom
Hiddleston. Imagine if he turns up as a Wolverine variant.
I'd take that.
Yeah, that would actually be quite funny.
But people think it's Harry Potter. I do not want Harry Potter. No way. No offense to the guy. I'm sure he's brilliant in those other types of roles that he does, but not as Wolverine. No way.
So I've just I've just Googled who could play Wolverine, and the first person who came up was I can't pronounce his first name. I'm an idiot. Edgerton. He's come. Do you know what? Maybe Andrew Garfield is listed on here. I don't know if Andrew Garfield would. He's tall
and skinny. He's Spider-Man. No, I'm not having that.
No, I'm not having that. Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander.
Homelander.
Do you know what? I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a bit old for it now. I don't know if you want a younger, because I think he's is he well into his 40s?
Yeah, he probably is now, isn't he? Daniel Radcliffe.
Not my Wolverine. Hashtag not my Wolverine.
Not my Wolverine. Brad Pitt's listed on it. Ben Affleck. You got to be taking the piss.
Fucking hell.
Justin Theroux. No, these are all too old.
What about Louis Theroux?
Louis Theroux. Oh yes, I'm Wolverine.
So, when did you decide you wanted to be one of the X-Men? How did that come about?
That's flawless. Joel Edgerton. Again, he's a bit too old, but maybe 10 years ago, Joel Edgerton would have been a good shout. Taron Egerton.
Yeah, that's him. That's the guy.
I could. Do you know what? I can see that. Now, here's one left field. John Bernthal, Punisher.
Yeah, he's got that rough look about him.
I think he's too big, too tall, too. I know Wolverine's quite stocky.
Yeah.
I don't know how tall Hugh Jackman is. Hugh Jackman was too tall for the role in the first place. But
he's into the 6 foot, isn't he?
Charlie Hunnam, he's listed on here.
Okay.
Not sure about Charlie Hunnam. He's not a great actor. Daphne Keane, who she already is X-23. Is that what she's called?
Yeah. So
now, I wanted to mention this because there have been rumors that she is going to return to play her character in Deadpool as X-23,
which is great.
Daughter.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I'd be all out for that one. I think she was brilliant in that first film, and it'd be great to see her grown up and how she's dealing with her powers and everything like that. And I like the claw she's got on her foot. I think that's brilliant.
And I know we said we're going to go into it too much, but there's been a lot of gender swapping with some of the heroes lately, and I think that'll play right into that. That's the kind of thing they've been doing, with Hawkeye a couple of other heroes.
I think some of that has just been stupid. It's doing it for the sake of doing it. But if she would be a good, I mean, if you brought a character to the fore and she was a lead character, I'd be down with that because I like the character from Logan. I thought,
and it's a very organic change. I mean, it's one that's got precedence in the comic, and it's not been forced on us. It sort of would grow to be the next Wolverine, and I would be okay with that because he's so iconic in the role.
Yeah, you have to be careful who you cast it. I mean, I personally think if you cast a big name actor, it takes something away from the character because casting a Tom Hardy, I mean, Tom Hardy is one of the biggest actors in the world. For me, Tom Hardy can play anybody. He's a bit like Christian Bale. They're very, very good character actors. But I could never see beyond Tom Hardy. That's always going to be Tom Hardy. It's always going to be Alfie Solomons, or it's always going to be Brock. What's his name? No, we're not allowed to talk about him. It's always
Eddie Brock. Pain.
Eddie Brock. Yeah,
Eddie Brock Lesnar.
Eddie Brock Lesnar. We'll get that in there before he's completely cancelled. Which he's on his way to be. Oscar Isaacs is another name on this list, which I can't see. This is a brilliant one. Keanu Reeves.
Who thinks up this shit? That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Do you know the one name that really stood out to me was John Bernthal? I can see that. It's a shame he's already the Punisher because I don't see that because the Punisher's going to still be in the MCU.
I hope he does come back he has said he wants to come back as the Punisher. Do you know what I'd actually like to see? Do you know that they're really going with this multiverse stuff in Deadpool? And it's not just variants of Deadpool, but you're seeing variants of other characters. Like you got John Bernthal's Punisher, and you got Thomas Jane's Punisher, and you got Dolph Lundgren's Punisher, all in it together as well. I'd be like, I'm down with this, but I can't see it. I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that, but
I think the film will be packed full of that.
I think it will be
stuff like that. There'll be cameos you've not even thought of. Yeah.
So here's a question for you. Why did we not see Hugh Jackman in the trailer when we all know he's in it because there's set photos leaked?
My personal opinion is because we are so desperate to see him there that we've literally just had a sniff, because a bit of a taste.
Moisten the tip. Wet the appetite, moistening the tip.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. You really enjoyed that trailer, didn't you? So I think we all know he's in it, and we've had our appetites wet, and we've just seen just a glimpse of him, and now we're begging for more. That's just how it works.
Yeah, maybe. I can't help but feel that we're going to get duped, and he's only going to be in like a very, very small part of it, and then Wolverine's going to be played by somebody else.
There's no way they would do that. I mean, I know Deadpool likes to go a bit left field, but you can't market a film like that and then do that. People kick off for real.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that. So I think he'll be in it a lot. I think there'll be a bit like Cable was.
I mean, he was great as Cable, wasn't he, Josh Brolin?
Yeah, and I think it works when you've got this.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I like how he kept calling him Thanos.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, and I think it worked well, that dynamic. You had this sort of straight man, to foil his goofiness, and I think that's probably what we're going to see again. And I hope we see Cable again. I liked what they did with him there.
There's lots of other rumours about who's going to be in it. Some have almost been confirmed. So Scott Summers, Cyclops, played by James Marsden, he's been rumoured to be back in it. And Jennifer Garner as Elektra, and she's listed on IMDb as playing Elektra.
That's confirmed.
So, I thought that might be. But does that mean that Ben Affleck's going to come back as Daredevil?
Oh, yeah, maybe he will. And then they'll have to make a Batman joke, obviously.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. It might say, come crawling back to the MCU.
He's as blind as a bat.
Yeah. I'd love it if they got to Cyclops and then killed him off again straight away.
Yeah, Jean Grey just gets him.
Yeah, but we did see Pyro in the trailer, didn't we? So
I thought that was Pyro.
Oh, it's definitely him. Yeah, it's the same actor and everything. But that's obviously the one cameo they can give away, probably. But again, oh wow, it's Pyro. I think he'll be one of dozens. It's just, you know,
endless, isn't it? I mean, you can have anybody who's been in the MCU to date. But I'm going to throw in a massive spoiler here because this is a spoiler, and I'm going to spoil this for everybody. But did you see the leaked set photo of Sabretooth?
I've seen of it, yeah.
Played by the same guy who played him in the first film, but it's not actually Sabretooth, it's just his head. Oh,
the Tyler something. The guy was a wrestler.
It's just his head. Like they've cut his head off. So there's apparently a fight there, or they cut his head off, and him and Wolverine are just throwing the head.
Well, if
playing catch.
If the film is about fixing continuity or something like that, I really hope they address this business with Sabretooth because...
about him being his brother.
Well, yeah, and a different actor, and the fact that they didn't recognise... He didn't recognise Wolverine. He'd not had his memory wiped. So it's all bollocks, that was. It was, wasn't it? It was silly. I mean, you're meant to sit there and take it and just address it. But they've got to. I think your big theory is Daniel Radcliffe. My big theory is that they'll have Liev Schreiber and the other
Liev Schreiber. That was his name. I couldn't quite remember his name.
That's who played in. That was the guy who played him in Wolverine.
He's brilliant in Goons.
Yeah, but I think they will. I think they'll do that. I think they have to.
I hope Daniel Radcliffe isn't in it. Honestly, I find him to be a very wooden actor at the best of times. So I hope it isn't him.
I did not think we'd be talking about him so much today.
Well, we've got a couple of other films coming out, MCU-esque films this year. We've just had Madam Web, which we can talk about in a bit. But isn't there a Kraven the Hunter film? Well, I know we did a stream a few weeks ago where we spoke about other things. And the guy who plays Kraven the Hunter has obviously played Quicksilver in the MCU.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, is that his
Aaron
name?
Taylor Johnson, that's his name. And he Kick-Ass. I wonder if he's going to appear in this at some point as a character, because he's just now generic comic book character.
Well, there's a theory. It's just a theory from this dude that I saw that Age of Ultron, the reason he might be there is because of Quicksilver, who was played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, because of course you have Quicksilver in the Fox universe as well, and there can't be two of them, can there? So that variants. So that might be actually what sets the film into motion. Who knows? Because you've got two versions of the same character. The reason for that was there was an issue with the rights where Quicksilver was in the Avengers in the comic, but it was also a mutant. So he wasn't a mutant in the Avengers, but they're essentially the same character, but sort of not at the same time. But
weren't allowed to refer to them as mutants because of the rights that Fox held at the time.
Exactly. Same with Scarlet Witch as well. Yeah. She's actually supposed to be a mutant, but I like what they did. That was fine. And then the sort of last sort of bits to tie up with the trailer are you see them in the what do they call it? The void, the wasteland, the leftovers. So I never understood exactly what it was from the location.
That's where the Fox logo is going to be.
Yeah. So there's there's a monster there called Alioth.
From Loki season 1.
I've got a theory now. I partly with what this guy's come up with, that this will become the battle world, the Void will, and that I think that ties in perfectly. That makes a lot of sense. We'll come on to the battle world thing, but it's almost confirmed that that's happening. But I've got a theory, because you see in the trailer that they've got these like sonic weapons and things, and they're fighting the monster. I think they kill it, right? And I think that has consequences. I think that sort of maybe puts into motion battle world, because I think he serves a function, does he not, to eat some of these leftovers? Is that the right word? People that have been banished there. I don't know, but I think that's all tied in.
But yeah, I mean that's a good theory. I mean, I didn't quite know what that was in Loki. I'm
not 100%. It's been you probably know. My memory is shocking. I watch things and I couldn't even remember that thing. I had to go and check it out, but I only saw it a couple of years ago, and it's gone. It's gone from my mind.
I just remember Richard E. Grant being in spandex.
God. And that little alligator.
That was brilliant. Honestly, that's the best version of Loki. Better than her from Nottingham.
Yeah. Oh God. And then we're coming to the end now, but obviously you see Deadpool on his back. And before we get to the guy you want to talk about, I don't know if we've covered the Wolverine stuff now, but I didn't spot this. I had to see it online, but there's the comic of Secret Wars on the floor next to him, and people are brilliant online, aren't they? People have even identified which issue it is, and thus have confirmed which version of Secret Wars. Because to me, I always thought of Secret Wars as I don't know if you ever saw it in the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s, but the Battle World and Secret Wars when I was growing up was you had the Collector and you had it was the Grandmaster, both of whom have been in the MCU but don't have powers as far as I know.
They're supposed to be brothers, aren't they?
Yeah, they were sort of almost a bit like Celestials. I think that they were like super powered, omnipotent type beings. I don't know if they are meant to be Celestials, but don't get mad at me, anybody. But they sort of created a game where they got villains. One of them had like Doctor Doom and a few bad guys, and then this other guy, the good guys, had some of the X-Men, Spider-Man, and all that. And
it's a little bit like our Civil War games that we play, Mr. Bean versus Sloth.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, we need to do that again soon. But apparently the comic book cover that's been shown is from a newer version of Secret Wars, which is I'm not sure exactly how it comes about. I think it's more to do with, and it ties in a lot better with what's been happening in the MCU lately. It's more about variants from universes fighting each other. And that's exactly where it's been going for the past couple of years, isn't it? So,
do you not think we've had too much of the multiverse stuff? Do you not think that it's a concept that they've just bled it dry now?
I think that it will run. So this film is like a gateway stepping stone film, isn't it? So what they're doing is, and a lot of the Marvel films are in a way, but this one is very much creaking the door open, I think. And then you'll get the Secret Wars. I think maybe you'll get 2 or 3 films out of that, and it'll blast the doors open. And I think what happens in those films may just bring all the multiverse to a close.
Yeah, I hope it does do. But there's been other rumors that I've been reading about, like Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark and Chris Evans' Captain America are going to make appearances in it, which technically they already have because they're on the screen, aren't they? As footage from previous films. So that could be. The rumor is that's it, and we're all going to be like, well, where are they?
They may not be the same Iron Man and Captain America that we know from 616 universe. They might be,
or it could be just played by different characters. Sorry, different actors.
Yeah. Anything's possible, mate, isn't it? I'd love them all back. I want them all back because there's even rumors of Thanos coming back in Secret Wars as well, and I think there's plenty.
Thanos versus Cable.
Oh yeah, get Apocalypse in there because Apocalypse and Cable need to come together.
And Ivan Ooze.
Oh my god, my child.
Oh, it's creepy, isn't it?
I hate it, mate. Such a bad representation.
Bloody hell!
But what a very exciting way to end the trailer, and then obviously you've got Wolverine stood over Deadpool, claws coming out.
Yeah. Do you know, my next thought is, and this is a thought I've come up with all on my own because I do have singular thoughts now and again.
Well done, Colm.
I know, he's a good boy, isn't he?
Good lad.
Dr. Doom, I think he's going to appear and it's going to be set up for Secret Wars because one character is definitely not going to appear is Kang the Conqueror because for obvious reasons, won't go there. So obviously, Kang the Conqueror, it's the same. It looks exactly the same in every single universe. It's not like you could just replace the actor because of they've already established, quite stupidly, really, that it's all played by. It's all it looks like the same person. It's all
they put all their eggs in one basket, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's the risk you make. Sometimes I suppose when they cast Kang, they didn't know what was going to transpire. Nobody's got a crystal ball at the end of the day. So they ended up having to just completely brush over the character completely for that reason. And obviously he was quite prominent in Loki season 2. Again, I haven't seen the end of Loki season 2, so I don't know if anything came up at the end of that to signify that Kang's gone now. But Doctor Doom has been kind of brought to that conversation as we're going to use that character now to replace Kang, which is, for me, Doctor Doom's a better character anyway. I mean, did you ever see the Josh Trank Fantastic Four?
I haven't watched any of those Fantastic Four movies. I didn't want to know because I just
I didn't mind it. I thought the original concept of it, or the original version of that film, which didn't get released, Fox decided to tear it all. Was it Fox or was it Sony or whoever who had
I think it's
the
Fox,
rights?
isn't it?
They tore it all up and decided we're going to re-edit this our way. But there was a lot of body horror and stuff like that in there, which I found to be quite interesting. And I forget the name of the guy who played Dr. Doom. He was in Rock and Roller. He said, "Don't hurt me, Archie. I'm only little." I forget his name now. Toby somebody. He's brilliant.
Okay.
And I thought that he was dealt a bad hand because he played the character really well. It was really menacing. Like when he's walking down the corridor, he's making people's heads explode and stuff like that. They have to make Doctor Doom quite powerful and just, bit worse than Thanos. I think they kind of blew their load with Thanos, in all honesty. I mean, they did well to build Thanos up, but as soon as you get to that point, where do you go from there? I know DC have tried it with Darkseid, and Thanos is a copy of Darkseid, but it's ironic that DC tried to bring their own Thanos in by using Darkseid, but the comic books, it was a way around. So I don't know. I find that where do you go from Thanos? But I think Doctor Doom is the only place you can go.
Well, I think you'll get your wish because that issue of Secret Wars is just Doctor Doom's face on the comic book cover.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a given. Now you don't do that and don't bring him in.
No. I know which cover you mean actually, because that was on the heavy spoilers video. So I think we can talk for the rest of the night as to what we think is going to happen in this film. And I mean, I've been wrong loads of times before when we've watched films and there's certain things come up and I reckon this is going to happen, I reckon that's going to happen. And it obviously a lot of the time it doesn't do because, they like to pull the wool over your eyes. And that's the whole point of these trailers. They want you to think one thing and then they kind of, move you in a slightly different direction for better or worse.
I think, I don't know if it's an age thing, right? But I'm at an age now where when I was a bit younger, I used to desperately try and figure out what was going to be happening. Just enjoy it. Just sit back. Let it happen to you. It'd be good to, I do try and think, like we have discussed in this podcast about what we think might happen, but I'm not going to obsess over it. I'm very happy to just let it happen to me. And just, it's one of the films you got to try and get in there on the first night. Otherwise, you're going to be spoiled to death. You can't go on the internet till you've seen it. It's going to be one of those films, isn't it?
I'm tempted to not watch any more of the trailers. I know it's going to be difficult because I'm going to be everywhere, but I am tempted to not watch too many of the trailers because I don't want it to be spoiled for me. I don't want expectations to be so high for it. And then when I go and see it, I'm like, oh, that was disappointing because I kind of spoiled it for myself.
Well, I'll watch it for you. I'll watch it for you. It'll be one of them where if I think it's worth you watching so we can have a discussion, then you may want to.
Yeah.
Because if there's anything that comes out in these trailers that's going to, go viral, you can't avoid it. It's going to be there.
And I think it's one of those things where you have to be really careful about what you're watching because I can say it's like, I've seen this. I reckon this is going to happen. You're like, oh, God, thanks for cheers. I didn't really want to know that. So it's social media is awful for that.
Well, it's funny, because I don't know how you dare talk about spoilers to me.
Oh, here we go. I knew this was coming up.
We were talking about Brock Lesnar earlier.
I'm going to mute you.
A few years ago, everyone, I booked the day off work and I came to Colm's flat that he had then and got a McDonald's, didn't we? We all said we're going to watch WrestleMania and there's certain matches Colm didn't care for, so he was fast forwarding things and he fast forward. There was a certain match come up. I can't remember what it was, but you didn't really care for it, did you? So you fast forwarded it.
No.
And by the time he let go of the fast forward, we saw Brock Lesnar celebrating his win with the Universal Championship.
Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg.
Yeah, which was, I don't know if it was the main event, but it was one of the bigger matches.
It wasn't the main event, but it was for that Universal title when Goldberg beat him in like 13 seconds at SummerSlam and then built up to it for Mania. And that was a good match, that. The thing is, the match was that short, though. It was hard to not... So ever since we've watched WrestleMania, we watch WrestleMania together every year, Sean won't let me anywhere near the remote.
No.
It's out of bounds.
I laughed it off at the time, but I was actually livid at the time.
How do you think I felt? I was just pissed off.
If you're watching this, just imagine you've just been so excited to watch WrestleMania, and Colin presses fast forward for too long, and you just immediately see the outcome of one of the matches, and at least the McDonald's was good.
Yeah. So you've maybe come to your house to watch WrestleMania since. So
well, luckily for us, because it's over 2 nights, we can do a bit of both, can't we?
Yeah, that's. But yeah, that's me. Spoilers don't go well.
No. But so I think that's it for our talk on Deadpool Wolverine. Very excited to talk more about that in the future. But we have talked a little bit off air, and thought we'd have a quick discussion now. We've started to see some of the initial reviews and reactions to Madam Web, and it seems less than favourable, to put it mildly. I've seen one person say it's probably one of the worst films they've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
And we predicted that, didn't we?
Just wanted to double check what the Rotten Tomatoes score was, because there was a big thing that came up today, and I've just seen that Bradford City are winning 4-0 at home to MK Dons at the moment.
Oh, brilliant, mate. We're losing 2-0, so that's good.
So I think I'll just go onto here. I think it was debuted at 23% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
that's just shocking.
That's pretty poor, isn't it?
I mean, where do you go from there? I think Jeremy Jahns has called Madam Web as hot garbage, and I think that's I like. I don't know if you ever watched Jeremy Jahns' reviews on YouTube. I really enjoy stuff like that. But hot garbage for 23% Rotten Tomatoes. Are you surprised? Because I have to admit, I'm not. This film, especially after the failure of the Marvels, the insistence on pushing these female-led films for the wrong reasons. They're doing it just to get them on screen without even bothering with a good
I mean, the characters
script.
They are genuine characters from the past, so they're there to be done. But my spider sense, if you will, was going off watching the trailer, because it just looked like crap. You could just tell, and I don't think it helps that the run of Sony films. I mean, one review I saw said that Morbius was better, which is crazy.
I saw that before you sent that to me. I thought, how can that be true?
But it don't bode well. The guy whoever's in charge of this division, they need sacking, right? Because I know we talked about this not long ago, but making a bunch of Spider-Man films about Spider-Man is the most stupid fucking, excuse my language, but I've just felt really angry about it. It's the most stupid thing ever. I mean, who cares? Who cares about these characters, really?
I'm not bothered about Morbius or I mean, the Venom films. The first Venom was decent enough. The second Venom, I just thought it literally was carnage.
Yeah, I mean, Venom's a character who can stand up on his own as a character, I think. Yeah. So that was okay. But I think people watching Venom, myself included, were probably watching it thinking, can't wait for Spider-Man to meet Venom.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's going to happen.
And it's not going to happen with Tom Hardy's character, because at the end of, was it Spider-Man?
No Way Home.
No Way Home, where he gets zapped back to his own existence, and he leaves a little bit of the symbiote. Yeah. And that means it's going to be played by a different actor in that universe, which I'm a bit like, I wanted to see Tom Hardy versus Tom Holland. I thought that they've invested time in that Tom Hardy character. You want to see that character go up against Tom Holland. But I know there's issues with using Spider-Man.
Yes.
Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So it could be that I was going to say Matt Hardy there. Tom Hardy. delete. Version 1. But Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock Venom could go up against Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. That's
another you know rumor. What? I'd be cool with that, and I'm kind of cool with them doing a new version of Venom too, because Venom to me has always been someone who was really angry at Peter Parker and Spider-Man before he even became Venom.
Yeah.
So that's a version of Venom I think we need, where Tom Hardy's a bit more of a chill dude. He'd probably be cool with Spider-Man. but is
yeah.
So I'm not surprised to go with a new version.
No, but do you like the fact that we've completely moved off Madam Web straight away just because of how terrible the reviews are?
What's there to say about it?
I mean, we spoke about this a few weeks ago on our upcoming movies discussion, and neither of us really had any kind of inkling to want to go see that film in the first place. I mean, I'll admit that having the all-female cast kind of put me off because of the Marvel stuff and how that's been really pushed at the moment. And I think, like I've just said, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. But I haven't got a problem with female-led superhero films. For me, you have to do it for the right reasons. You have to have the right scripts. And it should be story based and it should be fun, and it shouldn't just be done for the sake of doing it. And that's to me how it feels. They're doing it for the sake of doing it, and I just don't.
There's probably a good story. There is probably a good story in there. I mean, they are established characters, so there's no reason they can't have a female.
No, not at all. That's kind of what I'm saying is there's no reason why they can't do it. But I feel like they're just insulting people's intelligence by doing it the way they are, and it's no wonder that these films that are being badly reviewed or the box office is poor because they're not appealing to people in the right ways. I mean, when you're pushing an agenda, like I've said this loads of times on our videos, that people go to see these films as an escape from real. It's escapism at the end of the day, and you want to enjoy it. You want to have fun with it. You want to come out of the cinema thinking, yeah, I genuinely enjoyed that. But I feel with these films at the moment, MCU is probably the worst for it at the moment, is that you don't feel like there's escapism. You feel like you're just being lectured to. And for me, that's just not what we watch those films for.
No. But I mean, I had a problem with Madam Web, when I think however long it was, 2, 3, 4 years ago, I saw this sentence, Madam Web being developed into. I knew straight away from that sentence it would be crap because Madam Web. I was straight away. I thought, how do you even make a film about Madam Web?
She's not a lead character.
Well, no, and also she's this sort of mystical character, and to my knowledge, I don't think you ever really get to find out too much about her. She's just sort of pulling the strings.
I just remember from the cartoon as an older woman with funky sunglasses.
But obviously, they've made her an attractive young woman now for some reason. But that ain't Madam Web to me. Not the version that I know.
For modern audiences, whereas it's not modern audience, it's just audiences. The audience doesn't really, for me, the audience doesn't change. The demographic may adjust because of how time moves, but the audience needs to be treated as the audience. This is the audience that we want to watch this film, and the demographic is completely wrong for these films. In my opinion.
It's interesting because obviously we've got Madam Web who's been aged down. But people are talking about it with Aunt May as well, where over the years Aunt May's got younger, and I've seen people talking about that, and it's an interesting topic to pick up because, again, everyone's got their own mind's eye of what a character should look. To me, Aunt May is an elderly woman.
Yeah, and that's the same with Madam Web. She should be an elderly woman. The other thing is that Madam Web should be timeless because she's a timeless character, but. Yeah. The fact that she's an older woman, in especially in the cartoons, cartoons is my base of reference. Is that
me too? And she doesn't even walk.
No, she's all like she's like a spider. But she's old because it means that she's gone through an awful lot. I guess what they're trying to do is like it's the origin of how she gets from there to there, and fair enough. That's there's nothing wrong with exploring that.
Who's asking for that movie? I don't think anybody's asking for it. I don't think I've ever heard anyone in my life say, you know what we need is a Madam Web movie. Those words have never left anyone's lips outside of an executive's office.
No. And I think, I mean, I forget the name of the actor who plays Madam, was it Dakota
Johnson, is it?
Johnson, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I mean, you look at that cast, it's quite a talented cast at the end of the day. And
she gets some credit. Apparently she does okay, which is high praise in this film, I think.
But here's my point, and this goes back to Brie Larson, who's not considered to be people's favourite when it comes to celebrities in the wild, if you will. But if a film performs badly, such as Marvel's or Madam Web, or isn't very good, do you blame the principal cast? Unless their acting is god awful. I mean, with Dakota Johnson and Brie Larson is not a bad actor in the slightest. She's a very good actor. But are they to blame for the poor reception of these films? Because I don't think they are. I think it's the writing. I think it's the production. I think it's the editing. I think when a film is bad, the actors are the first people, or the director are the first people that you go to. I mean, director is probably much more culpable, but you've got hundreds of people work on these films. Why isn't it not more people are held accountable for how bad these films are? Especially the producers. For me, it should rest with the producers. You should rest with the executive producers.
I mean, the point you made about Brie Larson, I don't think she helped, though, because the attitude, she had a right chip on her shoulder going into that first film. And I felt like she was having a go at people like me just for being alive, and I was just like, what's your problem?
Yeah, I mean, we're the target audience for those films. There's nothing wrong with including other people into that demographic or that target audience, as I keep saying. But yeah, her I think, was it when she was on stage accepting an award or presenting an award or something like that, where she was talking about 40-year-old white males shouldn't they don't count.
This movie's not for you or whatever. Yeah. But do you know what? It's a bit like, and I've got to be very careful, and I mean this in the best possible way. When we talk about being inclusive and things, that works for all different ways. You can't say this is for everyone else except for you. That's not the spirit of how it should be. The spirit should be
for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Yeah, anybody can enjoy it.
Yeah. It's sorry, a better way to say it would be, traditionally these films have been aimed at this particular audience, but these films are going to be for that audience and everybody else also. But to turn around and say this, hey, hold up, this ain't for you. Sorry, I keep forgetting with the cameras. No, this ain't for you guys. It's for us. There's no need for that attitude at all.
No, and I don't think that's very fair, because it's at the end of the day, these are blockbuster films. These are popcorn films. These are films that are an attraction. And I think Martin Scorsese kind of hit the nail on the head when he says that these are like theme park rides. Okay, fair enough, but a theme park ride should be fun. A theme park ride should be a thrill, and a theme park ride should be worth paying to go to kind of get involved with. And that's the same as these films. There should be fun. There should be an attraction, and you should come out of that thinking, yeah, that was good. Enjoyed that.
I take issue with this comment because I think those films are a lot better than he gives them credit for. There is an element of that, because you want to get the kids in and sell the toys. Woo, look at all my. But they are genuinely good films. Like
they're very well made films. Up to a point, they're very, very well made films. I think
they are better.
Jon Favreau's a very good. Yeah,
they're much better than they have any right to be.
Absolutely. I mean, Jon Favreau, great director with all of that. The Russo brothers, that just the way that those films are shot and the way they're edited as well. They're good films. I know they're not high art. They're not Taxi Driver. They're not one of these. I'm trying to name of Scorsese films here. Goodfellas,
the Mean Streets or whatever.
Casino, yeah. They're not those films. They're not meant to be. They're not
Tarantino films, but
no,
there's an
they're not meant to
Tarantino.
Be. Again, but Tarantino doesn't say that this isn't made for you. That he wants everybody to be able to see the films and see his films and see something in those films that they can enjoy on their own level. And that's the big thing, is that people should be able to watch Marvel films or DC films and enjoy it on their own level. We shouldn't have to. You'll enjoy a film differently to the way I'll enjoy a film, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, I can only imagine he's made comments like that because I guess a lot of filmmakers might feel pushed out by the sheer amount of superhero movies coming out. But that's what people want to see. That's capitalism. You go where the money's at, don't you?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It is capitalism. Yeah. But do you know what? Madam Web, as we're saying, was a film that nobody really asked for. It's a character that, unless you're an actual proper Spider-Man fan, I consider myself a fan of Spider-Man, but I'm not a Spider-Man fan as in the comics. I enjoyed the cartoon. I enjoyed the Tobey Maguire first two films, etc. I like Tom Holland. Wasn't a massive fan of the Andrew Garfield films, but I don't know an awful lot about Madam Web. So why would I kind of get excited by that?
Yeah, now I think I'm someone who they would probably think I'd be the kind of person they'd be expecting to go see it. As you can see, I've got
Mm.
Spider-Man figures. I probably would class myself more as a fan of the character, but not. I'm like a lot of people. I am a fan of the character, and I have consumed a lot of comics and computer games, films, all of it. But I'm not such a fan to that level that I know the ins and outs of Madam Web. I'm not that deep in. And I suspect even people probably don't care, because Madam Web, to me, I'm not aware of any version of Madam Web that is like that.
No.
So to me, putting a few women on screen and saying these are Spider Women, that don't cut it for me.
It doesn't matter how good actors they are. At the end of the day, if the material they've got to work with isn't good enough to really kind of showcase their skills as actors, then it doesn't matter, does it? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time for them. Not their salary, so they're probably earning a lot of money out of it.
It's no better than having John McClane in Die Hard 4 when that is not a Die Hard movie. It's just to sell tickets, and that's what they're doing here. Oh, it's sort of loosely got Spider people in it.
It's playing on the expectation. It's related to Spider-Man. Maybe we're going to get a Spider-Man cameo or something.
But I think people have wisened up that Spider-Man ain't coming to these crappy movies. It's not happening.
No, they're saving Spider-Man for the to continue in the MCU. So, do you know what? We can debate it till next week or something, and there'll be people out there that will completely disagree with us on this, and that's fine. It's the whole point of the opinion on all of this. But I just think that these studios just need to stop making these films. They just need to just put a break on it. Deadpool should be kind of like an all-out, like we're going to throw everything at this, and we're just going to give you one last hurrah, and then just stop it for a while. Secret Wars, build that up, for later on. Captain Marvel, I'm just going back to this a little bit. It was very lucky with when it came out. It was sandwiched in between the two of the biggest films of the last 20 odd years. And it hadn't, for me, the film had no right to be as successful as it did, because it just wasn't a very good film. And for me, that was when we started to get that slight decline. And then you have that big Endgame kind of all in, everybody's there, we can really enjoy that. And that's how I'm feeling that Deadpool is going to be. That's like everybody's in there, we're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear is that I don't want them to take something away from the Deadpool character, because I'm going to see Deadpool. That's the character I'm going to see. And Wolverine, obviously. But I don't want it to be all these different characters. I don't know what I'm doing with my arms, but I just feel I don't want it to be watered down because we have to have this cameo from James Marsden's Cyclops, or we have to have this cameo from Patrick Stewart's, or the other guy, I forget his name now, from Early Doors.
James
McAvoy. We have to have all those cameos in there, and it takes something away from Deadpool. And like I said at the start of this discussion, Deadpool works better when he's more self-contained and he's on his own. And X-Force was funny, but
I've got faith, mate, because that it could have been in danger of that happening in X-Men 2. It could have got railroaded by some of those X characters, but it didn't. It was still Deadpool heavy, and it had the right mix. And I suspect the same will happen again.
I just don't want it to be Deadpool from X-Men Origins. But it just chokes his mouth up.
Oh, who knows, mate? Who knows? But I think we've gone round houses on this one now. I'm happy that we've covered it all, and I'm really excited to watch trailer number 2. I know you're not, but I'll let you know.
I don't know. I'm intrigued. Don't get me wrong. I'm intrigued. I just my thought is I don't want to taste too much. I don't want too much flavour before I've had the meal. You know,
you don't want your tip to be too moist.
No, I don't want my tip being too moist. No.
Well, on that note, I think we'll end it there. So we'll be back next week with another one, I'm sure, and we'll see you then. Thanks for watching Critical Cinema Club. I've been Sean.
I've been Colm,
and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Ta-ra!